All right, good morning. David?
Hey, Mike. David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Everyone gets the players get excited the first time they put on pads. Do you always have a particular message before the first padded practice? And if so, kind of what did you talk to them about?
I mean, definitely. I think this is clearly the day that everybody's waiting for, because this is as close as we can get to, preparation for a game. I mean, the opportunity to really practice, the real football as far as the fundamentals and techniques and just the progression of how practice is set up is really the focal point. So, but, frankly, we have a practice ethic, PowerPoint that we go through every time we get together. So we did that obviously before the first day, and then it's obviously there's highlights that you focus on for today's work. Just because of the padded practice brings a lot more energy. We want the competitive environment. We want to work in that space. It's very important to establish your play style through these 10 padded practices. But the emotional discipline is something that we could be better at. Recognizing the last 2 years as far as how we started the season. So and that was really big part of the message.
Time to we'll start talking around two things. Will Diggs practice today, or where is he? And can you sum up what you accomplished, through the first week before you get to pads with all of the?
Yeah, definitely. I think number one, Trayvon's scheduled to do individual today, so we're going to just slowly work him back in. Is the plan. And as far as what we accomplished, I think just like anything, you have to get out here and you have to get you got to get the tempo, and that's really, really important. Just the pace of operation. Everybody has, practice objectives and, the development of mind speed in playing fast at the line of scrimmage. We've had opportunity to do, 2-minute competitive 2-minute drills every single day during ramp up, and that's a real credit to our players for what they've put in to the off-season program. So, because we didn't really go back and install number one and work through. We look at these as more review days with the ability to really push the envelope on our situational work. So I thought last week was good, but this is the start to me, this is the real start of training camp.
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. With Tyron, do you plan to monitor his work here in training camp, but also recognize he's a guy who's missed so much time here lately that he might need the work? How do you balance that?
Well, I think number one, yes, we will monitor his work. I mean, he's played a lot of football, and I'm well aware of how much time he's missed. But Tyron's been in the building every single day pretty much since the season's over. So he's put a tremendous amount of time in addressing some of the things challenges that he had last year. So, but yeah, I think we have to be very, very smart with our veteran players.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. You'd like to talk about play callers and offenses evolve over time. How much do you think you've evolved since the last time you called plays with the Packers?
Evolved. I think the biggest thing for me personally is just make sure I'm connected with our players. Starting with Dak, our quarterback. I think the most important thing, and it's really the way I learned it back in 1989. It's you have to have a system. Back in the old days, there were systems that were really built around the running back. But obviously in today's generation of football, has been evident for a while now, is your system has to be built around making the quarterback successful, because these games, these championship games, these playoff games, come down to the last series. I mean, it's week in and week out. We see it throughout the regular season, but the training for the quarterback to win those games is vital. And not only do we need to train that way on offense, but also it prepares our defense. So I think the biggest thing of evolution is frankly having the discipline of being in touch with your players and how the system fits the players. I mean, there's a time in the West Coast offense, you always, it was the system, but so much about our games is matchup football, and I've always credited Marty Schottenheimer for that, because coming in and the early days learning the West Coast offense and the precision timing, particularly in the passing game, was the the backbone of what we were doing. But but then to hear the defense perspective is if you don't take advantage of a matchup, then during the course of a game, then you didn't do your job. So it's just a balance of having the details of our West Coast type system, which are very important, and we adhere to those. But we got to just make sure we're getting the ball distributed to our players. So I don't know if that's evolution, but that's the focus.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. How has Jalen Brooks transitioned, and what sort of first impressions has he made?
I think like anything, very good. I think just along with the other guys, I'm impressed at how fast he's picked it up. He's definitely natural with it, but I'm excited to see him in pads. I'm excited to see all the pads. I mean, we have 4 padded practices this week. These next 6 days will tell us a lot about our young players because you got the 4 padded practices, which is also you go through 4 installations, so they have a different, basically playbook or game plan for each and every day. So the stress of the mental, the emotional grind of taking the next step into the National Football League, this is a big week. It's a little bit of a threshold week, and I'm excited to see all of our rookies.
Joe Trahan, WFAA TV. Mike, beyond the assignments and everything, what do you look to see physically from your first-round pick, Mazi Smith? How do you know you're getting what you need out of him?
Just playing the technique, adhering to the technique. I mean, job responsibility was a topic of our team meeting today. Just everybody knowing their role, owning it, and just how you fit into the defense, how you fit into the offense. What is your clear-cut responsibility on each play schematically, and that starts with technique. And you really can't get to that until you get in pads. So, I don't want Mazi to be concerned about everything that goes with the first-round pick. I just want him to be himself and just really focus in on how we're playing the techniques, obviously the alignments, and that we're asking him to do, and and obviously the advancement which will come in pass rush because he you didn't see a lot of it in college because he wasn't asked to do it, but just to make sure he continues to develop it. But let's make no mistake about it. I mean, he was brought here to command the A gap. So and today's is a starting point for him to start owning that technique.
Mike, how important is Leighton to what you guys do?
How important Leighton? Oh, very important. I mean, it's Leighton's your play caller. Your communicator. Not play caller, obviously. Wears the green dot, but he's the communicator on the field. Obviously, the adjustments. I think he does a great job of recognizing the protection adjustment or the run adjustment of the offense. He's playing very fast, and I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about his mind speed in that area. So. Excellent communicator. He's very comfortable in that role. I think his command is definitely where it needs to be. I think he's really improved in that area, and he's in great shape. I mean, he went to a different training regiment last year, had a lot of success with it going in this year, and I think he took it went to another level. So he's clearly, in my time with him, I think he's in the best shape, and I think he definitely has command of our defense.
Guys who know your job. Is his responsibility to kind of know a little bit about everybody's job too?
Well, that is his job. I mean, he's the key communicator there, and that's the key with the green dot. The green dot's got to make sure that the call is clean, right or wrong or indifferent. It's got to be clean, and and the other 10 are aligned with you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Coach Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. What are you seeing from Jabril Cox this year? Looks like he's playing with a lot more mind speed, physical speed,
Yeah.
and he's transferring what you saw from minicamp over to training camp. But how important is it for him to take the next step, being that you are looking for the linebacker depth behind Leighton and DeMar?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think anytime players come back from a major joint injury, which he went through last year, there's it's really the second year where you think, okay, he's moving like he did prior to the injury, and I think that is definitely in his case. But a little bit going back to quite question about Leighton. You want to see him to play with the mind speed and the command in there, and obviously you talk about job responsibility. Special teams will be big for him too. So he definitely knows it. He's comfortable. He picked it up really quick as a rookie, so it's not a concern. But just getting back to playing with your hair on fire and getting comfortable, and I think he's definitely past the threshold of coming back from that major injury.
What's it like going against this defense every day? Can you feel the communication and play speed that comes being in year 3 under the same scheme?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I think clearly, not only is our defense in tune with what they're doing, but they're, just the understanding of what the offensive concepts are. Their pattern read. I think, particularly with all the match coverage we have, I think they're extremely well coached back there. I think Joe Witt's as good as anybody. Clearly is the best I've ever worked with as far as the back end and how we match concepts and so forth. So just like today, the ability to work stacks and bunches, that'll be great work for us because of the different adjustments that we have there. So we'll see all the things we need to see as an offense against our defense. As far as the pressure, the different looks. They're going to have the defensive ends off the ball today, so we call it rodeo. So that's great work for us. And, I think that you're seeing that in your first third down practice. I think that clearly tells you where we are as a defense, but also the pressure it puts on us as an offense. It's phenomenal work. And then on the flip side of it, our offense will give them everything they need to see too. So that's why I believe in our practice structure.
Working stacks and bunches. How's Kelvin Joseph come along and nickel in terms of recognition and feel for that spot?
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, he looks comfortable in there. I thought he did a nice job in the spring. I mean, it was a little bumpy for him at first, but he's definitely has a skill set to play in there. That's never the question. But the adjustments of playing inside is alignment and eye discipline and things like that. So this real work that he's going to get today, along with everybody else, is so important.
Mike, how do you define, in your mind, what is an elite defense, and where is this group in the potential to get there?
Can you give me the last part of the question? Elite defense and
elite defense, and where do you think your group is on the journey to being an elite defense?
Well, I think as you've seen, I look at year one was more of a, we transitioned from the the personnel and profiles that we wanted to be, prior to the system that was here in the past, and I think we definitely were there. As far as the body types, in 21, and then we felt like we needed to get bigger, and not only longer but get bigger inside. So and then obviously this, our perimeter guys, I think we crushed it. You just look at the safeties that we acquired, through free agency. So I think clearly from a personnel standpoint, and the way you want your defense to look, this will be year 3 of that, and just really their understanding and their connection, their cohesiveness is extremely high. Their confidence. Dan does an excellent job of building confidence and momentum each and every day. So we definitely have that. So and it's just a great challenge for us offensively. But end of the day, it's about performance, and this is really, as I said earlier, the first day that we get to really practice real technique. So, but yeah, I definitely think we have the makings of a top 5 defense.
Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio. Mike, once the pads come on, from a physicality standpoint, as a head coach, do you prefer to see one side of the ball or the other kind of assert itself and dictate kind of the tempo of practice? And if so, do you have a preference?
I was going to try to say it with a straight face, Brad, but I'm calling the plays on offense now. You know that, don't you? So we want, yeah. So I think there's moments you got to put your head coach hat on in there, but yeah, I need to compete with the offense today in the team periods. But I'll be paying close attention more in the combination work because we have 10 padded practices, and they're so important to what we're doing, and we just got to make sure we get the technique work, get it started off on the right foot today, because that's what's got to come out of this. Because the double teams, you're usually not very tight. The block destruction is inconsistent. The pad level, as they get tired, will be too high. I mean, those are things that you see, and there'll be more grabbing than you want on the perimeter. So we need to work through all that, and that's why this padded work is so important.
So does that mean that if the defense comes out and kind of establishes dominance, you take that a little more personally now than you did before?
No, that's when I put my head coach back on. I say, yeah, that's my defense. So, but no, I'm competing with the offense today. So.
Clarence for Star Telegram. You talk about discipline and passion. Do you caution them not cross the line to fight? How do you?
Oh yeah, no, you got to talk about it. That's part of the emotional discipline. I mean, there's a technique that we teach in those situations because it's going to happen. It's going to happen today. And if you do throw a punch, I mean, you're out of the period, because I mean, you throw a punch in the game, it throws you out of the game. So I mean, that's all part of the training. I mean, there's nothing smart about throwing a punch on the football field. So I mean, and obviously the way it's officiated, you can't have it in your training. So, well, do I think that someone will throw a punch today? I mean, I hope not, because it's it's being coached and so forth. But we're going to push the envelope. We want play style to be the same on both sides of the ball. So with that, comes a super competitive environment, and we got to be emotionally disciplined in those spots when it gets to be too far, because we're going to push the envelope. You can't have it both ways as a head coach. You can't sit there and referee every if you're going to push the envelope, sometimes they're going to cross the line, and we just got to have the discipline to lock up and get the guys out there and get on to the next play. Because the way we practice as far as pace operations, it's important. That's on a lot of the mind speed that comes with it, but also the conditioning. And we want our guys to feel when they get to Sunday, when the regular season starts, that Sundays are easy, and you establish that with the way you practice.
Last one, Joe.
Yeah, Mike, last thing. I don't want to sound like the old man here, but I remember when it was 6 weeks and 2-a-days in training camp. Do you have to resign yourself to the fact that your team probably won't be as prepared as they need to be for game one, but you just have to get them as close as you can?
It's a great question, but I think the reality is we're all practicing the same way. So I think we'll be as prepared or better than any other team in the league. I do believe that. But, yeah, I mean, I tell a story all the time. I can remember AM practice and PM practice and meetings at night. And, and Marty Schottenheimer's teams were excellent running the ball, and they were excellent, stopping the run. Well, because we did 25 play 9-on-7s, twice a day. So, and I mean, there was years where we went 14 days in a row of 2-a-days with pads. So, I mean, it was a different era, but it was also reflected on the way that era played. But that's not how we play today in this league. And space is important. Is winning in space and creating space, the athletic ability of all the way across the board. I mean, you don't see the 265-pound middle linebacker playing anymore because it wouldn't work in this game. So it is a different game. So I mean, I think and it's been different for a while. So, but yeah, I think the focal point of how important the technique I'm so thankful to have that experience of the 90s for that. But the efficiency of getting that taught in today's game is a challenge because you have a lot less time.
All righty, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Mike.